Today we're going to be talking about what is the best channel for generating quality leads. Have you ever wondered what medium delivers the highest quality leads? Well, in my 2 decades of being in sales, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I've come to realize that there is a difference in quality of leads, and the highest quality leads might surprise you. And today I'm going to be breaking down which channels are the best for the highest quality leads and letting you know which one is the absolute best. So how different would your sales organization be or your sales business be if you had the highest quality of leads? And you might not even know what those leads are, but how much money would be flowing in if you did? Well, let me tell you, there is a major difference in leads and where they come from. So today, I want to break down exactly how to rank leads and qualify them so you can have the absolute best leads at your disposal, or at least know where to try and get them. And ultimately, I want to show you what the best channel is for generating leads. You ready? Let's go. So first off, we need to understand how leads are ranked. Now, if we all understand what a lead is, it's someone who has invested time and someone who's invested money. Now, if someone's invested time, which most people consider the most important asset, they've given time to either attend an event or fill something out online. They've spent an amount of time engaging in something that tells you they're interested and maybe pursuing something further. Now, the other thing is investing money, right? That's pretty simple. That's somebody who saw something online or went to an event and saw something and said, you know what, I like this enough that I'm going to pull out my credit card and I'm going to purchase this program or this product. That right then and there tells you this person is interested. So they've either invested time or money. So I'll tell you a story, just how important it is to understand the investment of time and money. So this is probably 20 years ago. We had a lead partner who gave us a lead that did not purchase anything. Now we took this lead and said, man, is this really worth getting on our floor? He says, listen, I know it's a non-buyer lead, but I've asked these people to fill out what I call a vivid vision. This is them detailing out the vision of their future. If everything was exactly what they wanted, what would that look like? And I will tell you, some of these people filled out 2-3 pages of a vivid vision. And when we got these leads to our floor, how do you think they performed? Well, I'll tell you, they performed at the highest level we've ever had a lead perform in the history of our business up to that point. They were close to $500 or $600 a lead. And when I explain dollar per lead in just a minute, you'll understand how valuable that is. All right, so let's dive into lead quality, okay? First off, I'm gonna go through low quality leads, mid quality leads, high tier leads, and eventually I'm gonna give you the granddaddy of all, the best channel for generating high quality leads. All right, here's your low quality leads. Now, if you've ever seen a sales funnel online, really, the goal of the funnel, the top is big, the bottom's lower. You're trying to get them from here down to there. Now, ultimately, an opt-in just gets them started in the funnel, which requires them to enter an email address. This I wouldn't even consider a lead because did they invest time? No. Did they invest money? No. They basically just said, hey, I'm kind of interested. I'm poking my toe in the water. Let me see what you have. So the lowest quality lead you'll have will be an opt-in. From a seminar perspective, similar to an opt-in would be what's called a registrant. This is someone who is registered to attend an event in their city or close to it. But just because they registered doesn't mean that they're going to attend, because a lot of times you have a low show rate at events, so most people turn into a registered non-attendee. And with these low quality leads, eventually they need to be put into a funnel to qualify them even further by either investing time or money. I'll tell you a story. There was a period of time where we thought we found the golden goose when it came to leads. There was an organization, a company that was generating thousands of leads a week. This was going to take our company to a whole new level. And they were buyer leads. They'd bought something, right? So we got these leads out on our sales floor, and all of a sudden we started getting feedback from our sales rep saying, listen, the person is telling me the only reason they bought this is because it put them in a drawing for an Xbox, or it put them in a drawing for a vacation. And we thought, what? That's super strange. Why is that happening? As we dove into it a little bit more and went through the process ourselves, we found out that these leads were called incentivized leads. So the people were only incentivized to buy for an other alternative. Now, even though they had bought something, their alternative was different. It wasn't interest in the program or product. It was interest in potentially qualifying for a huge gift, whether it was an iPad, an Xbox, or a trip. So those are low quality leads, and you've got to be careful about which ones you engage in because most of them probably aren't worth your time. Let's dive into the mid tier. Now, these I like to consider the ones who invested time and money. So you got buyers and consults. So what's a consultation lead? This is somebody who saw something online and invested time filling out a consultation. This is actually a lead that we work quite a bit. And it's actually a really good lead because people are answering questions that already start them down that sales process. So when I say consult or consultation lead, that's what I'm talking to. They usually didn't buy, but they've invested time to fill out a consultation. Like I said, that actually jumps them in the sales process, and you just begin where they left off. So when we first started our sales organization, we started a company that was generating leads, and we're really focused on generating buyer leads. And one thing we noticed when we generated a buyer lead, if somebody didn't want to buy it and we gave them the opportunity to fill out a consultation, that they might be willing to do that. And all of a sudden we found that a consult lead was pretty good, not quite up to the status of a buyer, but it was good enough that we could extract money from that. And then we started to realize if we could get them to buy and fill out a consultation, that became even better. So all of a sudden, you had a combo lead where they bought and filled out a consultation. They invested time and money. And this was a super high quality lead. And then we realized if we got them to do both of those things plus call in, that was even higher. So each step you took them down, it would make it that much more of a higher quality lead. Most of the time, these leads that you see are buyers or consults are usually generated online through email marketing, Facebook, Instagram, ads that are placed to generate these type of leads. Now let's talk about the highest quality leads. The highest quality leads you're probably gonna get are seminar leads. These are people who've attended an event. They've taken a day off of work or a Saturday off, and they've came and spent an entire day at an event. They're engaged, they're taking notes, they're listening. And if they're at an event and they purchase something, that becomes a buyer lead. And the way that typically the seminar world works is that there's a free preview where people can attend that preview, maybe at no cost or a small cost. And after the event, they hear different speakers. They hear some big name speakers, but in between those big name speakers, they hear some product speakers or service speakers. They're typically presenting a product that they could engage in or purchase if they're interested in. So these people that attend, they might hear something they really like and they purchase the follow-up event. So the follow-up event might be a 2-day event. Now understand, if somebody spent 1 day at a free preview, then 2 days at an event, that is a highly qualified individual. And if that person purchases something at the follow-up event, that is probably the highest quality lead that you'll ever get in the industry, except for maybe one which I'll talk about here in a second, but we'll call that a seminar buyer. Now, one thing to understand with seminar buyers is to put on a seminar or a quality event, to do a free preview with a follow-up event, that is a massive investment. And there's a handful of organizations that are doing it and doing it well. Some might do it on a smaller scale, but to get the highest of high quality leads in the seminar world, it typically follows that model of the free preview and then the follow-up event. However, in my opinion, there might even be a lead quality that's a little bit higher, and I'll explain here to you. This is a lead of somebody who organically searches content that they're interested in, and then they consume that content. They consume it over and over again, and they consume it in the form of a video. So in my opinion, one of the highest quality leads out there comes from an organic YouTube channel. Now, to be honest, it could be the same quality as a seminar buyer, but one thing I find interesting is setting up an organic YouTube channel. It does take a lot of work, but when you have that thing humming, when you've got thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they're consuming your content, those people become rabid fans of what you're doing. And those usually turn into high quality leads. Just to finish with the story here. Our organization during the pandemic was working, and we kind of got the same leads time over time. We were introduced to a potential thought leader who had leads that had come from a YouTube channel. And I knew nothing about that world. But she had built up a YouTube channel that was generating so many leads, so many people were interested. What she would do is drive them from her YouTube channel to eventually a webinar, and a webinar to a consult form. And we started getting those leads, and I could not believe how much revenue we were producing off of those leads. Our dollar per lead, which measures how much dollars you pull out of one lead, and a typical for a buyer lead is around $200. That's a good dollar per lead on a buyer lead. Out of these leads, we're pulling at the highest about $550 to $600 a lead on a non-buyer consultation lead. But because they were organically consuming content from this thought leader, they became very, very good leads. And that's why I would probably argue that this might be the best lead out there. Now, I'm not saying my methods are perfect, and I know there's a lot of people watching this that have probably worked some amazing leads. So I'd love to hear what you say. What leads have you worked that have been the best for you? And I'd love to engage in a dialogue with you. Now, as always, I want to leave you with a free gift. I've got my 12-part sales training course. It's called Persuasion and Influence. Each course normally runs $100, but we're giving it away for free just by clicking on this link below aaronsSalesTraining.com. Thanks. Have an awesome day.